YouTube, what YouTube down on News TV. I am Dre. Man, it's tough taking breaks in life. Trying to get back to the grind. But I'm trying. I'm trying to kick everything back into gear, people. Trying to get everything kicked back into gear. It's a day by day process. But what are we? What am I looking at today? Michaela Montgomery. There's been viral clips going around about her. Well, of her speech at the Trump rally, and seen a short snippet on TikTok, and this video has come from the Washington Journal, and it's gonna give us a little background of Miss Montgomery's history and how she got to where she is today. I might do the full video, go through the full video, or it might be two parts because I want to get a little better understanding of her and why she's supporting Trump. But let's get into this.
Politics, obviously. Can you tell us how you got involved and why?
Yes, so I actually moved to Atlanta, Georgia from Las Vegas, Nevada. And just knowing, or not knowing, but observing the starking differences in the quality of education that I saw some of the students receiving, looking at development, specifically urban development, infrastructure, and how people are complaining about the roads. And even now, I've been here 10 years and people are still complaining about the same roads. I just thought, wow, there must be a way to do something about this other than complaining about it. And my senior year of high school is actually when I decided to change my major from pre-law to political science, because I knew then that I could really make change being in government. Before, I thought that I could make change defending, the defenseless. But I'm like, wow, if I create laws that could help them before they ever, need to be in a courtroom, I think that would be better. And I was actually picked up by Miss Vivian Childs and Janelle King. Way back in 2017, Janelle King was working with the GAGOP at the time, let me know that internships were available. I decided to go ahead and take one up. I learned a lot. I met some amazing people, and I've just been doing the work ever since then.
So you're the organizer in Fulton County, Georgia for America First Works.
Yes.
Tell us what that is and the affiliation with the Trump campaign.
So as you know, the Trump campaign has shouted out America First Works, America First Policy Institute, the entire America First family tree. We're a big, I guess, I wouldn't say think tank, but a lot of the outsourcing in regards to the engagement, the outreach, the mobilization of voters and volunteers would all come through America First. We also do a lot of events and things like that. So my role specifically would be to throw events to encourage people to not just pay attention to the election, but get involved with the campaign, to encourage their friends to vote, to come up with a voting plan on election day or during early voting, all of those things. So at America First Works specifically, I am in charge of volunteer recruitment, coordination, and mobilization.
And how is it funded?
It's a PAC, so I imagine that the money comes from donors who support any of our pillars, whether that be for education, whether that be gun rights, whether that be pro-life enthusiasts, it would come from donors.
And why do you personally support former President Trump?
I personally support President Trump due to my personal beliefs. So as a former foster child, I really love family, and I don't think that just because things didn't work out with my birth parents, that meant that I didn't deserve to be here. So that turned me kind of into a pro-lifer. I'm not the type to demonize people.
I hate to interrupt, but that's one thing I always thought about when it comes to people aborting the kids. That why not just? Well, I'm pretty sure the lady would want to carry the baby and give birth and give it up for adoption, but I can't speak on behalf of the women, but that would be a more viable option, I wouldn't believe. to just give the child up for adoption, possibly, hopefully, to a family that would want a child that is unable to make a baby. But at the same time, that would be more difficult once the baby is actually here on Earth and you get to see him, hold him, and look into its eyes, his or her eyes. Let them continue.
For the decisions that they decide to make. But me personally, if I'm going to vote for my personal views, I'm going to align myself with a pro-life candidate. Additionally, I am a mother now myself, so I do pay a lot of attention to the education that my child is receiving. And again, when I moved out here, I noticed the differences between the standards of education in Nevada and the standards of education out here in Atlanta, Georgia. And I didn't like how I came here and I felt like, not necessarily that I was smarter than everybody else, but I just felt like I was equipped with a better education than a lot of other people. And I don't know whether that be the allocation of resources. I don't know if it had something to do with property taxes. I don't know if maybe I just got lucky and had amazing teachers all throughout my life. But as a mother now, I think it's very important that parents have a say-so in their child's education and that parents can remain hands-on. For instance, I don't believe that there's 53 genders, and I refuse to allow my child to sit in a classroom in which they're going to tell her that that is what is true, and she will be tested on said thing and possibly failed if I tell her that there's only two genders, and I don't care what the teacher says. Lastly, as a single mother, as a woman who, I think I'm gorgeous. So just being able to protect myself, having my Second Amendment rights protected regardless. I do not want to live in a world in which your personal firearms are expected to be surrendered, because in a world like that, the only people who have guns are criminals and law enforcement. So if someone were to break into my home, which actually has happened to me recently, I wouldn't be able to protect myself. And whoever was breaking into my home would also know that. And the person breaking into my home would probably be equipped with a weapon, because just like drugs, if people want something that's illegal, they're going to get it. And so those are my three main reasons. Additionally, I have a brother that was formerly incarcerated, so he is now a returning citizen. And I think it's unfair that migrants can commit a crime by illegally migrating over here, and they get rewarded with the same resources that my brother would be turned down for. So my brother cannot get food stamps. My brother cannot apply for a luxury apartment. My brother cannot just go out for a corporate job without knowing somebody who knows somebody. Yet a migrant can come over here illegally and be awarded food stamps, be awarded housing assistance, be granted the opportunity to pursue a higher education, all of these things. Yet my brother, who was born here, bred here, when he worked, paid taxes here, he can't get those things, but a migrant can. So when I look specifically at policy and my personal experience,
I never thought about that aspect. That's why I love listening to various outlets, because the morning radio show I listen to, he's always advocating for getting felons the right to vote, or people who are previously felons the right to vote. And I have relatives that were in the same situation, and luckily they're able to get it. Well, I think back maybe a few years ago, Mississippi and Alabama, I think. Well, this was for driving privileges. If you had issues with the law previously, they just wiped away a lot of the things for the. Well, I forgot the technical term, but they did away with. Uh, they did away with preventing people who are trying to better their lives after having several run-ins with the law from working, by allowing them to get their driver's license back so they can have transportation to and from work, to pay their bills, pay their fines. But yeah, the way she just explained it, I never really thought about that aspect of it, how immigrants could come over here illegally, obviously, and get signed up for all these things compared to felons who are trying to get their lives back together and redeem themselves. They're having issues with the benefits that the migrants are receiving. But learn something new every day.
everything that I would want aligns with what I see on the Trump side.
All right, and if you'd like to join our conversation with Michaela Montgomery, you can do so. Our lines are Republicans, 202-748-8001, Democrats, 202-748-8000, and Independents, 202-748-8002. And Kayla, you founded a group called Conserve the Culture. What is that about?
So Conserve the Culture is mainly a mobilization group. So almost a staffing company. So I started out as a door-to-door canvasser, actually. And when doing those projects, the field director would usually be like, do you have any friends that can join you? Can you bring some more people with you tomorrow? And me being a poli-sci major at an HBCU, all I would have to do is go to class and tell people, hey, I'm doing this work for this election. They're going to pay us. Do any of you want to come? And of course, everybody would want to come with me. So I would get everybody to my house. We would wait for the van, the bus, the Uber, whatever, to come pick us up. We would go to the neighborhoods. We would canvass those neighborhoods. We would go right back to my house, which was on campus. So everybody would go to their respective dorms afterwards. So that was something I started getting calls darn near every other week. And so I was like, this is very interesting. And eventually I ended up working for this man named Edward Muldrow. And after mobilizing the team, getting them out there, getting them home, I'm going to pick up the money so that I can compensate the workers. And he gave me a nice little bit on top of what I was supposed to be, what was owed. And I was like, what's this? And he basically let me know, if you recruit, train, mobilize, transport, and pay these people, you are a manager. And it's about time you start carrying yourself as such. And so Conserve the Culture was created from there. And now it's primarily not just jobs, but of course I make an effort to make sure they have the opportunity to meet whatever candidate it is that they are working for. I bring them to different events, town halls, so that they can see their candidate debate or hear their candidate speak on the issues that are important to them. I have really done my best in exposing them to the different sides of politics. So while I may support Trump, I don't expect them all to support Trump, because my journey that got me here might be different from theirs. So all I can do is give them the same opportunities that were granted to me, and that's let me get you in the room. Let me allow you to participate in these conversations, and let me let you know that, you do have access to your city councilman, to your commissioner, to your mayor, to your governor, things like that. You do have a right to speak to them. You do have a voice in regards to what your concerns are. So I bring my kids everywhere. They haven't only met President Trump. They've met presidential candidate or hopeful candidate Robert F. Kennedy as well. And if Joe Biden actually cared about the community, they would have met him too, but he hasn't made himself accessible. So with that being said, I just do my best to create a new generation of informed voters. Yes, Kayla rocks this way, and I'm going to bring y'all to wherever I'm at so you guys can see why. But if you still don't rock with it, here's what's going on over here, and here's what's going on over there. Now let's have conversations about what you learned in this room and how it differs from what was said in that room. This, I think, is how we're going to solve the issue of voter apathy. And low level, how we have high levels of voter registration and low levels of voter turnout.
So, Kayla, the Atlanta rally that we were talking about, where you introduced former President Trump, a few days before that, he spoke to the National Association of Black Journalists, and he talked about Vice President Harris's racial identity, that she had become black. A lot of critics said that that hurt him with black voters. What was your reaction?
I don't know why it would hurt him with black voters, because it seems like black voters are offended by everything except the conditions in which their reality is set. So while we might be offended that a rich white man is questioning the nationality of a quote-unquote black woman, that black woman does not claim to be black outside of campaign season. So we saw her be black as she was vying to be VP. The hot sauce on the pork chops, the marching with the band, all of a sudden she's paying attention to her AKA sorority sisters. But then once sworn in office, you didn't see the acknowledgement of her sorority or her HBCU. She didn't wear pink, she didn't wear green, she didn't wear anything HU. She also did not acknowledge the black community while in office. We saw bills signed for Asians. We saw bills passed for migrants, which primarily affect the Hispanic community. We saw bills passed for literally everyone but black people. So for her, additionally, last thing, after she took that oath of office, she went on record to say that she was the first South Asian vice president. At no point in time did she promote her blackness. At no point in time does she acknowledge her blackness. At no point in time does she market herself as a black woman. And that was when she was attorney general. That's back when she was DA. That's all the way until she was senator. And of course, as vice president. So the fact that, again, she's using this black card during the election season just so black people will turn out to vote for her. And then she will, if she were to win, she would be in office and then fail those same black people who did everything in their power to get her in. I think that's disgusting. I think that's unfair. And I think that that's why I personally reached out to the Trump campaign and asked if I could speak, because I'm like, you guys might be offended when he says it, but what are you going to do when I say it? Because at the end of the day, I am a black woman. I've lived a black life, and therefore I pay attention to politics. So I was actually excited for her when she ran for president the first time. Just the fact that she was in the race, I was like, okay, HBCUs, do your thing. But she never acknowledged said HBCUs. In the first 100 days of the administration, they cut funding to HBCUs. She did nothing to support the very people that she's now leaning on to win this election. And I wish that those same people would understand that if they were to support her in this election and she does win, we will see nothing but a repeat of the last administration in which black people, the same people that everybody touts when it's time to get elected, will also be the ones that are the first to be forgotten about once they're sworn in.
Michaela Montgomery.
Oh man, that's a bright lady, man. Bright lady. I'm gonna do a continuation of this video because I'm getting tired. I have a set schedule, people. I'm sorry. I gotta get my rest in. Otherwise, I get cranky if I don't. But yeah, I'm gonna finish this video at a later date. I might put out this portion tonight just to get back, and I haven't been making videos. But she said a mouthful right there towards the end before I decided to cut it off. As far as black people being left behind, and she's been in office for the past 4 years, and it'll just be a continuation of the same old agenda that is put forth, and that's how I felt from the very start, that the agenda that the American people are upset with now and how it's affecting their lives, how just by switching her and Biden out, I guess people think it's gonna magically be okay. Our economy will be better. Our cost of living will be better or go down. I don't know. I don't know. We'll see. Down Home News TV. I am Dre. Y'all have a good evening.